Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching India Tonight with me, Sumita Karir, and my colleague Shibani Gharath. In fact, right now, it's now time for us to put our focus on some news that's coming in from World Bank, which has gone ahead and raised its growth forecast for India for both FY26 and FY27. The Global Developmental Organization is seeing robust demand in the country, and it believes that domestic demand can offset impact from Trump's tariffs. In fact, the World Bank now sees FY26 GDP growth 70 basis points higher at 7.2% and estimates FY27 growth to be 20 points higher at 6.5%. My colleague Ankur Mishra is getting us more details on what this report essentially says about India. So, Ankur, the World Bank quite firm on India's growth trajectory, and it has raised its growth forecast.
Yes, definitely. World Bank has raised the GDP forecast for India, and 7.2% GDP is projected for FY26. But remember, it is slightly lower than what our own Reserve Bank of India is estimating. However, the impact of tariffs has been talked about in this report, and therefore, if you talk about the next year, India's economy is expected to grow at 6.5% in FY27, and now this is an easing from the estimation of 7.2% in the current fiscal, but overall, India is seen as steady growth momentum will continue for the country. In its latest Global Economic Prospects report, the World Bank has noted that the impact of higher U.S. tariffs on Indian export is likely to be cushioned by stronger than anticipated momentum in the domestic demand. Remember, there were announcements which were made on GST front as well, and therefore the demand is going to be there on ground, and that is the anticipation which is done by the World Bank currently in its latest report. And they've clearly stated on tariffs also that despite higher tariffs on certain exports to the United States, the growth forecast has remained unchanged relative to June projections. And this is primarily because the adverse impact of higher tariffs will be offset by strong momentum in the domestic demand than previously anticipated. So all in all, the growth forecast has been raised for India till FY28. It is going to be a bright spot among the other emerging economies, at least with 6.5% growth and above for next 3 years. And the impact of tariffs is already seen in this report. So it is a kind of a positive report for India and India's growth story.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ankur, for sharing those details. Now, after an intervention by the Union Labour Minister Mansukh Mandaviya, delivery platforms Blinkit, Zepto, Zomato and Swiggy are learned to have decided to remove the 10-minute delivery system from their applications. Gig and platform workers had held a one-day strike on December 31st, and one of their demands was to end the delivery of items in 10 minutes, citing accidents and health issues. Reports claim that Mandaviya held a meeting with the aggregators last week and asked them about the promise of 10-minute delivery. And in fact, we had a discussion about this, Sumita, a couple of weeks ago, around the time when the strike was on, to understand what were the demands of the gig workers. And also the promise of 10-minute delivery and whether it is viable or not going forward. Now, the move is actually aimed at ensuring greater safety, security and improved working conditions for gig workers. Now, according to Blinkit, Blinkit has informed the ministry that the company's principal tagline has been revised from 10,000 plus products delivered in 10 minutes to 30,000 plus products delivered at your doorstep. The gig workers, in their memorandum to Minister Mandaviya, had requested his intervention to urgently discontinue the 10 to 20 minute delivery service service delivery mandate to prioritize worker safety. Now, the workers' unions have been arguing that the practice put tremendous pressure on the delivery workers and had also sought ministers' help for regulating the platforms and their work practices. To discuss this and more, today we're joined in by Vandana Vasudevan, who's the author of OTP Please, and Sudeep Bandopadhyay, who's a market expert. Both of you, welcome to ET Now. First, Vandana Vasudevan, I would like to speak with you. What extent did the Labour Ministry's, intervention in this, 10-minute delivery guarantee promise and dropping that from the platform will help, the gig workers going forward? Because there was also a counter argument by, a certain quick commerce platform. In fact, the founder of a quick commerce platform, which was Zomato's Goel, were debated that, it's always in the vicinity and the delivery, reaches the customer within 10 minutes because everything is in that 1 to 1.5 kilometer radius. And now, being a consumer, I am so used to that 10-minute delivery option through various quick commerce platforms. In fact, I'm used to ordering for a vegetable or like a butter while I'm in the process of cooking something. So how and in what way will it impact, the platforms and also the consumer?
Okay, thank you for having me. So while platforms have said that they are not penalizing workers for delivering, over 10 minutes, however, workers have been rushing from place to place because they need to complete a certain number of deliveries in order to earn the money for the day, right? Also, speed is definitely a parameter which is factored into the algorithm to measure each worker's performance. So the algorithm parameters have been opaque, and that's a demand that all activists have been saying that, make it more transparent. Just how do you evaluate the worker, etc. But how fast the worker delivers and how, is part of the record which the algorithm, rates in, and it also influences whether he will get more orders. His whole performance metric that is there within the algorithm definitely takes speed into account. That's point one. Second is that, what we are seeing now is a shift from celebrating speed and efficiency to questioning who bears its costs. So for years, platforms have framed ultra-fast delivery as efficiency and convenience for the customer, but they've rarely asked who bears the cost of that convenience. So we have seen in recent times accidents and workers speeding to deliver. So today's policy intervention by the government shows that regulators are now focusing on bringing fairness into the equation in the gig economy. And also, it is a wake-up call for middle-class consumers like us. Even I have been ordering through quick commerce platforms, but it's a huge privilege that we have been used to. The 10-minute delivery of bread for, the guy makes one trip for bread and then another trip for butter is huge privilege, which we have never seen even in 6 years, 10 years ago. So it is just after the pandemic that this has happened. So this privilege at the cost of workers' precarity was something that needed to be corrected. And I'm really happy that the government has done that today.
Right, Ms. Vasudevan, but it remains to be seen to what extent does this end up improving the conditions of workers or gig workers, as they say. That remains to be seen. But definitely the optics of it look great. But let me come to you, Mr. Bandopadhyay. Mr. Bandopadhyay, does it further increase the competitive intensity in the industry? We've seen a lot of players jump into the fray, whether it's a sort of Reliance or it's Amazon. Several others are looking at venturing into this ecosystem. So the government stating that you can't really mention that this will be delivered, a certain good will be delivered in 10 minutes. Does this further increase competitive intensity? Because the basic moat, the basic USP of this model of business is quick delivery.
of course, the basic, mode is a quick delivery, but I think it's an excellent step taken by the government. I don't know where this 10-minute delivery came from, but once it came from, as you mentioned, and as my co-panelist mentioned, we all started enjoying it. Tomorrow somebody comes and says, I'll deliver in 5 minutes, as consumer probably will even enjoy that. But that's not the point. The point is, this was causing tremendous stress, tremendous potential for accidents, not only for the gig workers, but for, normal pedestrians and normal, traffic as well. And there is no rationale for this 10-minute delivery stuff. Nowhere in the world, this kind of 10-minute delivery happens. And probably there is no need for this 10-minute delivery as well. Yes, quick commerce means delivering quickly. Quick commerce doesn't mean that, you order something and you will get it tomorrow, which is normally the e-commerce, modus operandi, tomorrow, day after, or something like that. Quick commerce ensures that you will get delivery within a certain span of time, which is very, very quick and much quicker compared to normal e-commerce. So definitely for quick commerce, there is a rationale in a country like India, where I think everybody is trying to achieve certain things within a specified time frame. So quick commerce is here to stay, and it will stay. But removing this 10-minute, I think, is a good step, and it's a step in the right direction. I don't think anything will change as far as these quick commerce companies are concerned. They will continue to compete on multiple fronts, including delivering within a certain span of time. Just that 10-minute was putting incremental pressure on the entire system and the ecosystem as well. I think that goes out of the way now.
Like the entire business model, of this 10-minute delivery also heavily relied on, the customer acquisition through instant gratification. Like, for example, for key launches, like, for example, the iPhone launches, who is delivering me the iPhone fastest through any of these platforms was one of the promise that, these platforms was giving in. Now, how do you see, Sudeep, some of the customer acquisition strategy also with many new players coming into the market, shifting or changing as the primary novelty of time is taken away from some of these Q-commerce platforms?
No, a couple of things. I think, let me clarify this. I don't think the novelty of quick delivery is being taken away. It's just that artificial time limit of 10 minutes is being taken away. I'm sure tomorrow, if some platform, regularly delivers to me certain thing in 15 minutes, vis-a-vis somebody delivering in half an hour, if I'm so disposed, I will probably go for that platform which delivers me in 15 minutes as opposed to the one delivering it half an hour. So the competition will continue. Just that artificial 10-minute, which creates stress on the entire ecosystem, will go away. Now, the second point of yours on the competition, I think competition is for a different reason altogether. If you look at the established quick commerce platforms today, whether it's a Zepto, whether it's a Blinkit or an Instamart of Swiggy, they are a neutral platform. They carry whatever product they want to, and they deliver. Now, the question of why a DMart wants to also come there, why an Amazon wants to come here, why a Flipkart wants to come here, is because they need to naturally compete, because their products and their business was suffering because of the quick commerce guys. So obviously there is a rationale for an Amazon to get into this quick commerce business. There is a rationale for a Flipkart to get into quick commerce business. And there is a rationale for a DMart to get into quick commerce business, because otherwise they will suffer. And the business of, the non-aligned quick commerce, guys will prosper. So the business rationale for them coming is different. They need to be in quick commerce, and quick commerce is here to stay. Just that artificial time limit of 10 minutes goes away, and I think it's good for everybody.
Whether it's good or not for everybody, that remains to be seen, Mr. Bandyopadhyay. But like I said, the optics of this move are definitely great. It seems like the government has finally paid attention to the plight of workers and this pressure, this stress that really creates on these workers, sometimes even compromising on their safety. Ms. Vasudevan, now it remains to be seen, how will the government ensure compliance? How will this be made sure that a quick commerce platform or a rider associated with a quick commerce platform is not delivering in under 10 minutes?
I think the fact that it has been officially banned, 10 minutes have been officially banned, makes everybody be on guard. So the workers are, as you can see from the strike on Christmas Day as well as New Year's Eve, workers are now extremely aware of their rights, and they've been protesting their falling income, the opacity of the algorithm, the safety issues which are there in gig work, and there are a whole lot of demands because of which some 2 lakh workers protested for the first time on New Year's Eve, which is a day of huge business. It has always been a day of huge business for them. So I'm sure that it can't work in an underhand manner where the platform is like forcing people to deliver within 10 minutes, and despite the government order. However, I think there is one nuance here. It's not that they are saying that this will come to you in 10 minutes. The delivery will be done in 10 minutes. But if it so happens without pressure, I think that is not an issue, because a lot of quick commerce companies have placed their dark stores in a very dense way. Like, there's one in every society, or there are few on every street. So it is possible that without pressure, the delivery does come in like 8 minutes. But that's not the problem. The problem is when the customer expects it in 10 minutes and the delivery guy is rushing to deliver that. That is what the government has put a clamp on. So I'm sure, to react to your remark about whether it remains to be seen whom it helps, I'm sure it helps the workers for one. And the only people who are affected are, middle-class consumers who have been unduly privileged with this 10-minute thing. But like my co-panelist said, nowhere in the world is this extreme pampering of customers done. So even in lower income countries like South America or Turkey, they do promise very quick delivery, and by very quick they mean 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and that is absolutely fine. Singapore, Malaysia, anywhere quick commerce says very fast delivery, and they charge the customer for that. So this 10-minute thing is an artificial thing. Not even Indian customers have ever gone out on the street and said that, we demand 10-minute delivery. So it's just something that happened riding on the back of cheap labor in India. And I don't think anybody is going to be adversely affected by the government's ban on it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Vasudevan and Mr. Bandopadhyay. Thanks for joining us today and discussing, Q-Commerce 10-minute delivery promise and the impact of, the government intervention into this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.